All righty. Good afternoon, everybody. It's about that time. So, my name's Allison. If you guys are just joining us for maybe the first time, so this is our intermediate yoga class. Let's just go ahead and get started in a seated position. So, if you want to grab onto a block or something to kind of elevate those hips a little bit, you have that option. Just go ahead and rest those hands on the knees, closing down those eyes. Just pausing it here for a few breaths. Just big breaths in through the nose, filling those lungs, feeling that expansion of the belly, of the rib cage. And then exhaling that breath out, just nice and slow. Again, big breath in. And exhaling it out. And just doing a few more of those on your own. Just really being aware of that breath. Sitting taller on the inhales. Just feeling yourself grounding into the mat on that exhale. Letting everything else go, just bringing yourself to this space. Maybe it was a crazy day, maybe it was a great day. Just for right now, just let yourself be right here in this moment, just being present, just letting yourself breathe. And then reach those arms out to the side. Reach it up nice and tall. Good. Reaching through those fingertips, maybe even trying to bring those hands back a little bit more. So try not to arch through that low back. Try and open up through that upper back. And then exhale, twist it over to that right side. Sit tall on that inhale. Exhale into that twist. Bring it back to center. Reach it up nice and tall. And then exhale, bring it over to that other side again. Inhaling, sitting tall. Exhale, twist. And bring it back to center. Just walking those hands forward. Okay, so you can stagger those feet just slightly. Reaching through those fingertips, lifting through that chest on that inhale. And then exhale, walking those hands out a little bit further. Trying to keep that nice flat back, those hips grounded down. We're gonna really work on those hips today, those outer hips. And then maybe walking those hands over to that right side. Now as we kind of lean over to this side, make sure we're still pressing that opposite hip down towards the mat. And then we'll come back to center. Let's go over to the other side. Big old reach. So if you're over to your left side, you're gonna reach through your right arm and vice versa. Bring it back to center. And then we'll walk those hands back. Let's go ahead and just switch the cross of the legs. Again, reaching those arms up nice and tall. We're gonna twist the other side to start. So over to your left side, sit tall on that inhale and exhale into that twist. Bring it back to center, reaching those arms up and exhale it to the other side. Again, lengthen and twist. And then bring it back to center. And then walk those hands forward. What's wrong? You're kind of in the way. Sorry guys, we got a visitor today. Itchy move. She's hungry. It's dinner time. And then we'll walk those hands over to the right side. And come back to center. We'll go over to the other side. Bring it back to center. Just pause it here for a breath. Walk it on back. Let's go ahead and roll over onto those hands and knees into that tabletop position. So just a few cat-cows. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone. Exhale, round. Pulling that belly in. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest and the tailbone. Exhale, round. Good, one more time. Inhale, lift and lengthen. And exhale, round. Good, now bring it to our neutral spine. Let's go and step those feet back to our plank. Take a big breath, inhale. And exhale, let's send those hips up and back to that first downward facing dog. Let's take a couple breaths and stretch out through those calves and hamstrings. Maybe a little stretch through those ankles, Achilles tendons. Get one more breath, and then we'll get moving here. And inhaling on the toes. Bend into those knees, step or hop those feet, top of the mat. Inhale that half lift. And exhale, fold. Inhale, bend into those knees, flat back. We're gonna rise up to standing. Reach it up nice and tall. And then exhale, we'll bring it right back down. Inhale that half lift. And exhale, plant those hands, stepping those feet back to our plank. We're gonna drop those heels to the left. Right arm reaches out. Exhale, thread that arm through, reach it back. Inhale, send it up. Good. Then exhale that hand down, heels to the right. Left arm reaches up. Exhale, thread that arm through. Inhale, send it back up. Lower that hand down, shift that weight forward. Let's lower those knees down, adding that push-up. So lower down, shoulders to the height of the elbows. Press it back up. Okay, now if you want to stay on your toes, that's totally fine. Again, lowering down all the way to the stomach this time. Point those toes, roll the shoulders down and back, lifting that chest up into that cobra. And down, press and lift. So maybe go a little higher and down and press and lift, maybe even higher into that up dog. And then from there, you can send those hips back to the sky, down dog. 3 breaths. Good, then inhale on the toes. Bend into those knees, step those feet, top of the mat. Half lift and fold. Inhale, we'll rise. Reach it up tall and exhale, fold. Inhale the half lift and exhale, plant those hands, step those feet back. Side plank, right arm reaches up. Thread it under one time. Inhale it back up and down, heels to the other side. Left arm reaches up. Thread, back up. Lower the hands down. 1 push-up, so shift that weight forward. Lower, shoulders high the elbows. Press it back up and down. Inhale, lift. And exhaling those hips up and back. Downward facing dog. And then inhale on the toes. Bend into those knees. Step those feet, top of the mat. Inhale that half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll rise. Reach up tall. And exhale, bring it back down. Lengthen up. Exhale, plant those hands. Step the feet back. Side plank over to that right side. So right arm is reaching up. Thread the arm under. Inhale it back up. And to the other side if you switched it up, that's fine, no worries. Just make sure you do both sides. Thread it under. Inhale it back up. Both hands down. Shift that weight forward. Push up. And vinyasa. And then exhale, we'll send those hips back to a quick child's pose, bringing those knees a little bit wider than mat distance apart. A little stretch through those inner thighs. One more breath. And then we'll come back up onto hands and knees. Step it back to down dog. Now we'll come onto the toes. Bend those knees. We're going to step or hop those feet a little wider. So right outside the hands, turning those toes out, heels in. Sinking those hips down, core stays nice and tight. Chest is lifted, knees are driving out. One more breath. And now we're gonna plant those hands down, okay? Little frog hop here. So we're gonna bring the weight into our hands. From here, we're gonna lift the hips up high, bend into those knees, and we're gonna hop those feet right back into our frog. Straighten those legs, down dog. Inhale, right leg lifts up, curling that knee to the nose. Inhale it back up. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it up. And exhale, curl it in. stepping that foot through. Back heel is going to stay lifted, inhaling those arms up. So core stays nice and tight. Rib cage is pulling down. Arms are pulling back. Let's sink into that front knee just a little bit more. Feeling that stretch through this back hip flexor, and we're building that strength into this right leg. Now lower the hands down, straighten that front leg, come high onto that back heel as we fold. Now rebend into that front knee, reach those arms back up. And now we'll twist. Left hand reaches forward, right arm reaches back. Ooh, I'm out of breath. Left arm reaches up, right hand is reaching down towards that hamstring. Gazing over that shoulder, maybe we find that back heel. Then we'll circle those arms all the way down to the mat, stepping it back to our plank. We lower. Inhale, lift. And exhale those hips up and back, downward facing dog. Feet together, inhaling that left leg lifts. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Inhale it back up. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it up. And exhale, curl that knee and step that foot through. Again, that back heel staying up, reaching those arms up overhead. Sink into that front knee, straight as we can with this back leg. We don't want to just lock this leg out and then just get this huge arch to the back. So I'd rather have a little bit of bend, more neutral spine, but still trying to flex that quad, so this muscle in the front of the leg, to work towards straighten that leg out a little bit more. Good, now we'll straighten that front leg, high onto the back toes as we fold. Now we'll rebend into that front knee, reaching those arms up nice and tall. Then we'll twist. Right arm's gonna reach forward, left arm reaches back. And then we'll flip that palm. Right arm reaches up, left hand is sliding down that back leg. And then we'll circle those arms all the way down to the mat. Send it back to our plank. Push up and vinyasa. Good, exhaling those hips to the sky. Downward facing dog. Good, now come onto the toes. Bend into those knees. Step or hop those feet right outside those hands. Sinking those hips into that squat. And knees are driving out, chest is lifted, nice flat back. Now, from here, if you want to play around a little bit more and you want to go into that crow pose, that's what it's called. There we go. So we want to spread those fingers out. So I have my pinky fingers right at the very, very edge of my mat. Okay, if you have a little bit narrower shoulders, you can bring those hands in a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to come up high onto my toes. I'm going to bring my knees right to those elbow creases, shifting my weight forward a lot. So you notice my elbows are right over my wrists. Okay, and then from there, I'm looking forward, big breath in, and then I'm gonna try and float those feet up off of the mat. And so maybe you're just tapping, it's getting lighter in the feet, heavier in those hands. Okay, or maybe we're just practicing getting weight into those hands, so no right or wrong way. Now, another breath or two. Now we can lower those feet down. Okay, let's do that frog hop. Weights in the hands, hips high, bend into those knees, and float it back. Soft landing in that frog. Straighten the legs up into our down dog. Inhale, that right leg lifts. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Inhale it back up. Curl it in. Send it back up. And curl it in. Step that foot through. Okay, that back heel's up. Inhaling those arms up overhead. Core stays tight. Bend into that front knee. Hold here. Notice if that knee is collapsing in at all, press that knee out. We want that big toe to be right inside that knee. Now straighten that front leg as we fold. Good, now rebend into that knee. Reach those arms up and twist. Left hand forward, right arm back. And then flip that left palm, reach up towards the sky. Right hand is reaching for that hamstring. Circle those arms all the way down to the mat, stepping it back to a plank. Vinyasa. Hips up, down dog. Other side, left leg lifts. Curl that knee to the nose. Inhale it back up. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it up. And exhale, curl it in, stepping that foot through. Inhale, those arms are going to reach up overhead. Core is tight. Bending into that front knee. And now we'll straighten that front leg as we fold. Again, now rebend that knee, reach those arms back up, and we'll twist. Right hand's gonna reach forward, left arm reaches back, then we'll reach that right arm up, left hand slides down that back leg. And we'll circle those hands down, step it back to or into that push-up this time. After both sides, we'll do that push-up, and then vinyasa, hips up, downward facing dog. Take another breath here in down dog. Okay, now inhale on the toes. Bend those knees. You can step or hop those feet out right behind those hands. Sink those hips down into that squat. Hold it here. Now I'm gonna give you guys another chance to play around with that crow, but if you'd rather just sit here in this squat, that's fine too, okay? Otherwise, let's lower those hands down. Really, really big foundation with those hands. That's gonna help, okay? Bring those knees to the armpits, shift that weight forward, and float those feet up. Good, breathe. Maybe you're just tapping those feet. Then now come back to that squat. Hips up high. Now, bend into those knees and jump. Oops, I gotta look forward. Jump those feet back. Frog landing. Straighten those legs up. Down dog. One more breath. Now let's inhale. Right leg up. Square those hips. Point the toes down. Curl that right knee to that right elbow. A little wider. Inhale, send it back up. Exhale that knee across. Left elbow. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Stepping that foot through. Again, back heel stays lifted. Ooh, inhaling those arms up. Forward straight. Again, we'll twist. Left arm's gonna reach forward. Right arm reaches back. And then we'll reach that left arm up and back. Right hand slides down that back leg. It's gonna be that left leg. Now we're gonna circle those arms into a T. Back heel's gonna ground down into our warrior two. So our knee's gonna stay right above that ankle, gripping those toes, lifting through those arches. So maybe a little bit more weight onto the outside edge of the foot, but we wanna keep that knuckle of the, or that ball of the big toe really pressed into the mat. Sink a little deeper. Feeling that muscle strength in those legs. Now lower that forearm down, reaching that left arm up and over into that extended side angle. You want to slower that hand down to the inside of the foot, you have that option. And then inhale, we'll rise up, straighten that front leg, reaching that arm up and back. Now reaching out those arms. Bend into that front knee, warrior two. Now we're gonna reach it forward, lower the hands down a few feet in front of that front foot. We're gonna float that back leg up. Oops, you can even see me. Here we go. Back leg up into that, that half moon balance. So really reaching up with that left hand, flexing through that left foot, and then think like there's a wall behind you you're pressing that foot into. Now come back up, turning those toes out. I'm gonna face you guys for this one, okay? Now arms are up, feet are out, sink those hips down. So pretend like you're right up against the wall and you're sliding your back down that wall. Knees are pressing out, okay? Now pressing your hips forward, knees press out, stand all the way up, reach up tall, and then sink it down. Whew. Press out, down, keep driving those knees out, hips are pressing forward on the way up. Good, last one, down, maybe two more. Back up and down. Bring it back up and then turn those toes in and fold. One more breath. And then we'll lengthen back out. Let's walk those hands back to the front of your mat. Step it back. Let's add in that push-up and vinyasa. And those push-ups can always be done on your knees, so modifying as needed. Now inhaling, that left leg is gonna lift. We're gonna send that left knee towards that left elbow. Inhale, send it back up. Exhale that knee across. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, curl your knee into your chest, stepping that foot through. Again, that back heel is gonna stay lifted. Inhaling those arms up. Core is tight. Sink into that front knee. And then we'll twist. Right hand's gonna reach forward. Left arm reaches back. Flipping that front palm, reaching that right arm up as that left hand reaches for that hamstring. Now we'll circle those arms around, tee it out into that warrior two. So adjusting those feet, we want that left heel intersecting that arch of that right foot, gripping those toes, the balls of the feet, especially of that big toe, and then pull those feet towards the middle of the, pull towards the middle of the foot so the arches lift. And keeping that knee pressing out into the chest and shoulders open up into that T. Now we'll lower that forearm down as we sweep that right arm right up overhead. Keep that chest opening up, core is tight. Now inhale, we're gonna rise up, straighten that front leg, give that leg a little break. Reach it up and back. Now reach out those arms. Come back to that warrior two. Now we're gonna reach forward, lower that hand down a couple inches in front of that foot. Now keep reaching up with that right hand, and then we'll lift. Lifting that right leg up, opening up through that chest. Reaching up with that right arm. So maybe even starting to lift that left hand up. Balance. Now take that big step back. Ooh, that was not graceful. Into that warrior two. Good, open it up. So again, turning those toes out. We reach those arms up like we're making a big X here. And then draw it down. Try and draw those elbows down towards those knees. Keeping that chest up though. And then inhale, we'll press it back up. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale it down. Inhale it up. We got two more. Bring it down. And up. Last time, down. And back up. Now turn those toes in, heels out. As we fold, flat back on that inhale, and fold. If you want to heel to walk those legs out a little bit wider, just a little different feel in that stretch. It's kind of more the inner thighs. And then we'll re-lengthen out, walking those hands back to the front. Go and step it back to our plank, adding in that push-up, and vinyasa. Put hips up, downward facing dog. And let's go ahead and lower onto those knees, in, toes in, knees out. Sink those hips back. Again, if you want a little deeper inner thigh stretch, just send those knees a little bit wider and then soften that head down to the mat. And now come back up on two hands and knees. Step it back to plank, down dog. Walking those feet a little bit closer together, so they're gonna be a little bit narrower than hip distance. Free to bring those heels in, toes out. Okay, we're gonna bend into those knees, sink those hips back into kind of that squat, that frog hop position. Now, we're gonna get light on those feet, heavy into those hands, lifting, jumping, landing in that squat. So really, be as quiet as you can be on each of these landings, okay? So landing and absorbing into with a bent knee is gonna help that, okay? So again, we're gonna lift those hips high, you're gonna sink it down, and then we're gonna hop it back, soft landing into that frog. Good, now bend and hop. Back, try to get as much air as you can before we land. Good. And up, woo, and back, and up. Hold into that squat. Pressing those knees out, chest is lifted. One last time to play around with that crow pose. So plant those hands down. If you need to take a second, shake out those legs a little bit, you can. Okay, now we're gonna bring those knees right to those armpits. Shift that weight forward. Spread those fingers out, lifting kind of through the chest a little bit more. So lift those legs up. Again, we want the forearms parallel to each other. Elbows stacked right over those wrists. Gripping with those fingertips as much as you can. And breathe. Good. Soften it down. One last time. Hips high. Frog hop it back. Bend and jump. And then just straighten those legs out. Into that downward facing dog. Now let's go ahead and step that right foot outside that right hand. Back knee lowers down. You can lower down onto those forearms. Chest is pulling forward. Lengthening out through that spine. If you want to let that knee kind of open up a little bit wider. And more stretch through that outer hip. Don't let the hips sag to that side though. Think pulling your hips back towards that midline and just letting that knee drop open just a tiny bit more. Good. And bring back up onto the hands. Just straighten that leg. Pulling the toes back. Nice flat back. So you might have to be on those fingertips. And then twist, reaching that right arm up. Now, not letting that hip sway open to that right side. Keep rolling that right hip down and back as we open up into that twist. Lower that hand down. Another breath into those half splits. And then let's rebend into that knee. Send it back to our down dog. We'll go the other side. That left foot is going to step outside that left hand. Back knee is lowered down. Chest is pulling forward. And when you're ready, lower down onto those forearms if it's accessible. If you feel like you're getting a good enough stretch on your hands, the arms straight, that is just fine. So going to your own individual limit, not forcing it into mine. Or if you can go lower than me, then that's great too. Again, if you want that knee to open up a little bit wider. If we are doing that approach, just make sure we're flexing that foot. We want to keep that nice 90-degree angle in that ankle, protecting those tendons, the ankle. Then bring it back up onto those hands. Straighten that front leg. Send those hips back so they're stacked right over that right knee. Now we can come onto those fingertips as we twist, reaching that left arm up. Left hip stays down. Keep that twist. And lower that hand down. Stay in that half split. And then we'll rebend into that knee, making your way back into that downward facing dog. Another breath or two. And come into that seat. Step or hop those feet forward. Reaching those legs out long, squeeze those legs together. We're gonna reach those arms forward. We're just gonna roll it back one vertebrae at a time. Squeezing those legs together as we roll, controlled, using those abs. And then we'll reach those arms overhead, that full body stretch, fingertips down through those toes. Now let's hug those knees into the chest. Now let's stack those knees over those hips. Shins are gonna be parallel to the ground. You can tee out or field goal out those arms. Now we're gonna bring those knees over to that right side. So we're just gonna let those knees hover around 45 degrees, just keeping that left shoulder grounded down. Using that core, we're gonna bring those knees back up, and then we're gonna go over to that left side. Inhale, bring it back up, and exhale it over to the right. And up to the left. And up to the right. Up and to the left. Bring it back up. Now we're going to go over to the right side, but we're going to drop those knees all the way down, or as low as you can, keeping that left shoulder grounded down. And bring it back to center. Dropping those knees over to that left side. Right shoulder stays down. And then bring those knees back to center. Just give those knees a hug in. We'll cross that. We'll lower the feet down, then cross that right ankle over, flexing that foot, and we can hug that shin. Or if that's a little bit too aggressive, you can always reach for that hamstring. Tailbone stays down, back stays nice and flat as we hug that knee. So stretching out through that outer hip. And we'll lower that foot down. So you have those arms, just dropping the knees over to that right side. Bring it back to center. And we'll switch sides. So crossing that left ankle over, hug that knee in, and then grab onto that hamstring, or maybe reaching for that shin. And let's lower that foot down. Keep that ankle crossed over, and we'll just draw those knees over to that left side. Bring those knees back to center. Just go and uncross it. We'll hug those knees into the chest. Just give it a little rock from side to side. If there's any finishing touches that you need to add into your practice. Maybe a hip bridge or another twist. Feel free to add those in now. Around into that spine. Hug those knees in, bring the forehead to those knees. Then we'll extend those legs out, reach those arms up overhead, that full body stretch. Fingertips all the way down through those toes. Big, big reach. Inhale. And exhaling those arms down by the sides. Palms will face up. Shoulder blades walk together. You can bring those legs out as wide as you would like. Maybe those arms out as wide as you would like. Closing down those eyes. And so soft and relax into the mat. Just letting yourself be here in this space, this quiet space, completely relaxed and calm. Begin to deepen your breath. Just gently begin to wiggle those fingers and your toes. Let's reach those arms overhead, that full body stretch from the fingertips down through those toes. And we'll hug those knees into the chest and gently roll it on over to our right side, just letting that right arm support the head, that left arm support. Just resting here for a couple breaths. And then press yourself up into that seat. It's sitting tall, those eyes remain closed. Pausing it for a few breaths. Inhaling those arms up overhead, big, big reach. And exhaling those hands down. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Have a great evening. See you guys back here hopefully tomorrow morning. We have another all levels 25-minute flow at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.